It was the 17th of Ramadan in the second year after the Hijrah. The Muslims of Medina, led by Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, found themselves facing their first true test of faith and resolve on the battlefield. This was the Battle of Badr, a pivotal moment that would forever alter the trajectory of Islamic history. The events leading up to this battle began with the Muslims' migration to Medina, leaving behind their homes, wealth, and possessions in Mecca. The Quraysh had not only persecuted the Muslims but had seized their property and declared their intention to crush this new movement entirely. For the Muslims, Medina had become a sanctuary, a place to build their community and establish the principles of Islam. But the Quraysh did not allow them to live in peace. They viewed the rise of Islam as a direct threat to their power and influence in the Arabian Peninsula. It was in this context that the Muslims learned of a large caravan returning to Mecca, led by Abu Sufyan. The caravan carried immense wealth, much of which was taken from the Muslims when they were forced to leave Mecca. The Prophet, peace be upon him, decided to intercept the caravan, not out of greed, but as a means of reclaiming what was rightfully theirs. Abu Sufyan, however, learned of the Muslims' plans and sent word to the Quraysh in Mecca, calling for reinforcements. The Quraysh responded with an army of around 1,000 men, including their strongest warriors, fully prepared for battle. The Muslims, on the other hand, were not initially preparing for war. They were a small group of just over 300 men, poorly equipped, with only 2 horses and 70 camels among them. This was not a battle of equals, it was a test of faith and perseverance. When news reached the Muslims that a Qurayshi army was advancing to protect the caravan, the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, gathered his companions and sought their advice. This consultation reflects one of the Prophet's many qualities as a leader, his humility and willingness to involve others in decision-making. The answer, the helpers of Medina, pledged their full support, declaring that they would stand by him no matter what. With their commitment, the Muslims marched to the plain of Badr. The night before the battle was spent in preparation and prayer. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, prayed earnestly, raising his hands to the heavens, asking Allah for victory. His companions also sought strength and resolve from their Lord. Despite the odds, their hearts were filled with trust in Allah. The morning of the battle arrived, and the two armies faced each other on the plain of Badr. The Quraysh stood confident, their numbers and equipment far superior. The Muslims, though small in number, were united in faith and purpose. Before the fighting began, the Prophet, peace be upon him, took a handful of dust and threw it toward the Quraysh, saying, "May their faces be humiliated." The battle commenced with a tradition of single combat. 3 warriors from the Quraysh stepped forward, Utbah ibn Rabi'ah, his brother Shayba, and his son al-Walid. The Muslims sent forward 3 of their finest, Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib, Ali ibn Abi Talib, and Ubaidah ibn al-Harith. In moments of fierce combat, Hamza and Ali defeated their opponents, while Ubaidah was injured but victorious. This initial skirmish set the tone for what was to come. The main battle then began. The Quraysh launched their attack, but the Muslims held their ground. The Prophet, peace be upon him, encouraged his companions, reminding him of Allah's promise of victory. The Quran speaks of this moment, describing how angels were sent by Allah to strengthen the believers. Despite their small numbers, the Muslims fought with unparalleled determination, and soon, the tide of the battle turned in their favor. By the end of the day, the Quraysh were routed. 70 of their men were killed, and another 70 were taken as prisoners. Among their dead were some of their most prominent leaders, including Abu Jahl, the arch-enemy of Islam. The Muslims, by contrast, lost only 14 men. This remarkable victory was a testament to their faith and the divine support they had received. The aftermath of Badr was profound. For the Quraysh, it was a humiliating defeat that shattered their pride and exposed their vulnerability. For the Muslims, it was a moment of validation and strength. This victory proved that their faith, their unity, and their reliance on Allah could overcome even the most daunting challenges. The prisoners taken at Badr were treated with dignity and compassion, a reflection of the Prophet's character. Many of them were ransomed back to their families, and some were even freed without ransom. Those who could not pay were given the opportunity to teach the illiterate among the Muslims in Medina, a practice that highlights Islam's emphasis on education and learning. The Battle of Badr was not just a military victory. It was a turning point that solidified the position of the Muslim community and sent a powerful message to the tribes of Arabia. This was a community guided by divine principles and led by a prophet whose mission was destined to succeed. The lessons of Badr continue to resonate with Muslims today. It reminds us of the power of faith, the importance of unity, and the necessity of trusting in Allah, even in the face of overwhelming odds. As the Quran states, "And Allah had already given you victory at Badr when you were few in number. Then fear Allah, perhaps you will be grateful." Quran 3-123. This was Badr, the first battle of Islam, the day when the believers stood firm and changed the course of history forever.